Everybody panicked when the Orlando Magic started 1-4 at the beginning of the season. Are those days back? Perhaps, perhaps not. Today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is December 28th. It will be December 29th, 2025. My name is Philip Rossman-Ike. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com, credentialed member of the Orlando Magic media since the 2012 season. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, are we currently in a repeat of those October struggles? And did those issues really go away? We've talked a little bit about some of these issues. We're going to dive a little deeper into them today as the Magic struggled through this part of the season and whether this is just something they're going to have to guard and deal with for the rest of the year. We're going to get to that. Plus, the Magic's clutch proficiency and going back on the road again. We're going to get to all that coming up here in just a moment. But first, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. You can make Locked On Magic even bigger part of your day by being one of our Orlando Magic dailies. That means you listen 5 days a week. That means you're an everydayer. That means you're listening as part of your regular podcast rotation. That means we're your first listen of the day. We want to thank you for making Locked On Magic the amazing community that it is. And thank you for helping make the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Way back at the beginning of the season, there was legitimate panic. Legitimate panic, enough so that I probably did some longer-term talk than I wanted to do, and I hope I made things clear throughout the course of that early struggle at the beginning of the season. Like, look, give them till Thanksgiving before you start burning chips down and start bringing the pitchforks out. And by the time we got to Thanksgiving, everything had calmed down. The Magic were playing a whole lot better. They advanced in the NBA Cup. The issues from those first 5 games had largely calmed down. In fact, a lot of people gave Jamal Mosley, and by a lot of people I mean Stan Van Gundy, but there are a lot of people, I don't think Stan was the only one, but there are a lot of people that gave Jamal Mosley a lot of credit for recognizing the issues that the Magic were facing at the beginning of the season. Mainly that they were too focused on their offense and playing with pace and dialing it back enough and finding their defense to get the team back to where they needed to be. And they burned off, I think it was 10 of their next 13 games after that 1-5 start or 1-4 start. The Magic found themselves again. And, we're sitting here. The Magic are a half game out of 4th behind the Toronto Raptors, who they will play Monday. Things are not perfect, but they're fine. But I said back then, and I'll still say today, the issues that plagued the team in October, yes, they were issues they could easily overcome, and yes, they were things that they could easily take care of. But those issues would always be there, would always be like lingering underneath the surface, would always be something that this team would have to guard against, that this team would have to be aware of and could creep up at any point. Early season games are strange, like you're still figuring yourself out as a team, and you expect to get better, and obviously the Magic have. But those early season games and the issues that the Magic had, their sometimes lack of defensive intensity, their search for identity, their search for togetherness, those were kind of intangible things that could easily be let go. We saw in those first 5 games, really the 4, but we saw in that 4-game losing streak to open the season after the opening night win, we saw what this team could look like at its worst. That this wasn't simply a repeat of last season. This wasn't simply, roll it back. Everything is going to fit together perfectly. And even though the Magic got a lot of those pieces together, as we have moved forward, the Magic have done well for the most part, but all this stuff was was hidden. It was in the upside down, whatever you want to call it. And really, since the Jalen Suggs injury, we have seen a lot of these bad habits come back. I know I'm doing this episode after a win, and a pretty impressive win for the Magic over the Nuggets. I do want to talk about the Magic and their ability to win close games, which is pretty astounding at this point. They're one of the best clutch teams in the league, and we'll talk a little bit about that coming up here in a minute. So I want to give them credit for the win. But the way the Magic won that game Saturday was not Magic basketball, not completely at least. Even in the second half, Orlando had like a 115, 116, 117, 118 defensive rating. They were just so good on offense, Denver couldn't stop them, that it didn't matter. And look, Orlando got turnovers. They did the thing. They made the plays to get the win. But all the problems that have led to this little swoon, and it's like they're 3-3 in their last 6 games, and they're still winning despite this. But the Magic have been doing things that don't look like the Orlando Magic. It's defensive rating. Magic are 12th in the league at defensive rating right now at 113.5 points per 100 possessions. They're 8th in the league in defensive rebound rate at 70.7% and 5th in the league, giving up 13.8 second chance points per game. They're one of the best rebounding teams in the league. Orlando has spent the last 4 years under Jamal Mosley winning the hustle points, points off turnovers, forcing turnovers, second chance points. And this year they are 7th in the league with 16.2 second chance points and 9th in the league with 32.2% offensive rebound rate. If you've listened to the show, you know those numbers are way down. The Magic are slipping down the rankings. Because since returning home from the NBA Cup, that is 6 games now. So since November 14th, the Magic are 26th in the league with a 119.8 defensive rating. They are 24th with a 65.5% defensive rebound rate and last in the league, giving up 20.5 second chance points per game. They are 18th with a 30% offensive rebound rate and 29th with 11.5 second chance points per game. If you think about all the things that are the formula for the Magic to win basketball games, it's outworking the opponent first and foremost. We talked a lot about that after Friday's game against Charlotte. We talked about it after last week's game against Golden State. The Warriors were first to every loose ball. The Magic just looked sluggish and slow against the Hornets, and it was better against Denver. And they won that game because of their effort as much as anything else. But the Magic still gave up a ton of offensive rebounds. The Magic still gave up a ton of second chance points. The Magic still were climbing uphill to deal with Nikola Jokic around the basket. And again, they made the shots, they made the plays, they forced turnovers to get themselves back in that game and win it. The Magic statistical profile then is not of a 3-3 team over the last 6 games. As I had to explain to a lot of people who were frustrated by the loss of the Hornets on Friday, the Magic have been playing like a lottery team since they got back from Vegas. Now, is this something to be worried about? Is this something that should raise panic? The answer is no, because of the injuries. Jalen Suggs is out. Franz Wagner's out. 2 of the best defensive players on the team. It was going to cut into the team's defense. And honestly, I would say like one of the problems with the Magic's bench is they loaded up with a lot of kind of offense-first guys or defense guys who are no offense at all. And so you're missing Goga Bitadze, who's a big defensive anchor. And Jonathan Isaac's played well on defense, so I don't want to take too much away from him. But Noah Pender's a rookie. He's inconsistent. Jace Richardson is not a defender. Tyus Jones is not a defender. Anthony Black is no longer on that bench. He's with the starters. He's a plus defender. Magic starting lineup's been generally pretty fine. Tristan De Silva is a good defender, but still coming back from an injury. So injuries are a huge part of the puzzle, and it hasn't helped that Paolo Banchero is not at full speed. I'm not, again, like, I feel like I've been hitting the Paolo stuff over the head, but the fact that Paolo is not at full speed is a major factor in all of this. And look, he could have a 25, 8, and 7 game on Monday and start trending back in the right. I don't think he will, because Scotty Barnes is a really good defender, but could start trending back in the right direction. But we don't know. We don't know when that shoe's going to drop, if it ever will. And what is concerning is not necessarily the belief that the Magic will get right. Eventually, the players will come back from injury. Eventually, the Magic will have Goga Bitadze in the lineup. Eventually, Franz is back. Eventually, Jalen Suggs is back. Eventually, this team will be healthy. We will see them at full strength. We will see what they can do. And this team is very good. What's concerning is that what we thought was this team's identity was lost at the beginning of the season. They found it, but now it appears to be lost again. And they'll find it again. It's a long season. You have bad nights, especially after the holidays. Like, say what you want about it. Look around the league. There are some crazy results going on around the league right now. And that typically happens around the holidays. Everyone kind of eases off the throttle, enjoys the holidays a little too much. It happens. They're human beings. But the Magic right now are playing like they did in October. And the inconsistency of their effort, the inconsistency of their precision, the inconsistency of their details is not something that we have had to deal with. We have dealt with missing shots. It's okay if the Magic lose because they miss shots. We kind of expect that. It's not okay that this Magic team is getting outworked. It's not okay that this Magic team isn't precise with their details. And that's why this team is playing like a 500 team at best and a really bad team at worst. And the fact that this has risen up again, it's not enough to raise alarm. It's not enough to say, oh, it's not enough to say, oh, this is something to be concerned with, but it is something this team is going to have to guard against. And frankly, it's something they're going to have to guard against the rest of the season. The good news is the Magic are one of the best clutch teams in the league. They're winning games late. What that means and who's delivering, coming up next in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is sponsored by our friends over at FanDuel. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. It's easy to check weekly specials before tip-off and make a move before the window closes, and it adds an extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour. That's every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. We want to thank you for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day and your first listen of the day. And thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. I can't talk today. If you haven't already, go check out our new Everydayer Club. The Everydayer Club is a great way to expand your reach and your access to Locked On Magic and the growing Locked On Magic community. You get access to ad-free audio feed for Locked On Magic, compatible with all major podcast apps, and you get an invite to the members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat just for listeners of the show. I usually hang out in the Discord. I will take all questions. I will provide thoughts during the game. I'm gonna do stuff on there that is not on my publicly available feeds. So if you want direct access to what I am thinking about during the game, that's where you want to go. Go to lockedonmagic.supercast.com. That's lockedonmagic.supercast.com, or tap the link in the show notes to learn more about the Everydayer Club. It was another big game, another big day at the Kia Center as the Orlando Magic defeated the Denver Nuggets 127-126, a game that came down to the last minutes, to the last bits and pieces of the game. If you are a longtime listener of this show, you know I have a saying about clutch moments and clutch stats, and I'm going to break a lot of that here by talking about it. I am a big believer that good teams don't win clutch games, they avoid them. You don't want to be stuck in a lot of clutch games. They are essentially 50-50. Anthony Black played great defense on Jamal Murray. That shot still could have gone in. And if that happens, we're talking about something very, very different today on the show. Clutch games are coin flips. You expect teams to finish about 500 in close games and clutch situations. And guess what? That's what happened with the Magic last year. They were about 500. I think they were a game over 500 in clutch situations where the game is within 5 points in the final 5 minutes. Now, again, there's like addendums to that. It's like, yes, a team can dip it to 5 points and then zoom it back out to 7, 8, 9 points, and that still counts as a clutch game. Clutch stats only occur when you are within 5 points under 5 minutes. So these are still very small sample sizes that we're talking about. I say that phrase just because it's my way of dismissing people who are like, oh, that guy's not clutch, or, it's my way of saying the last 2 minutes or the last 5 minutes of a game don't matter as much as the previous 43 or 46. All the minutes matter. There's a reason why if you look at records, that teams that are leading after the first quarter, they have a better record when they lead after the first quarter. Teams have a significantly better record when they lead at halftime. Teams have a better record when they're leading after the fourth quarter. Let me pull up the Magic's records in those situations here in a minute, just to kind of prove that point. I'm going to continue to stall while I do that. But like that is a truth, that it is not just about those last minutes. As important as they might feel, it is not just about those last minutes. I'm going to have a hard time finding this, so I don't know if I should stall long enough to find it. I'm not going to find it in time. I'll track those numbers down. I'll put them in the Everydayer Club. There you go. That's one place to get the Everydayer Club. The Magic, though, this year have been exceptionally good in clutch situations. And you might be thinking like, oh, of course they have. We've seen Desmond Bane hit the game-winning shot against Portland. We've seen Desmond Bane hit the game-winning shot against Utah. We've seen the Desmond Bane free throw. Like, Desmond Bane's had a lot of clutch moments already this season that makes it already feel like he is worth the price of admission. Orlando so far has played 32 games. They are 10-5 in clutch situations. 15 clutch games, by the way, among the fewest in the league. About median. They're 16th in the league in clutch situations at 15. 10-5 puts them at sixth most wins in clutch situations. The Detroit Pistons, your number one team in the East, are 15-6. That might make you think, oh, they're a little bit of paper tigers. Maybe they're going to fall back to the pack as that number levels, but Detroit also has a 95.5 defensive rating in clutch situations. What is surprising then? Excuse me. What is surprising then is that the Magic are strong in the clutch because of their offense, not because of their defense. Just looking at the advanced numbers, and Orlando has played 70 clutch minutes this season. So 70 over 15, that is 4.7 clutch minutes per clutch game. So they've had some games where they've gotten out of clutch situations. They've had a lot of games where they're up and they let the team back in. So I'm not going to sit here and say they're perfect in the clutch. The Orlando Magic are 12th in the league with a plus 3.6 net rating in clutch situations. So they are giving up some points. But Orlando is 9th in the league with a 115.7 offensive rating. And they are still 14th in the league with a 112.1 defensive rating. So they're not like bleeding points. Their rebounding struggles are at a 65% defensive rebound rate, but a 39.1% offensive rebound rate. Think that Wendell Carter rebound on opening night against the Miami Heat. Think about that Wendell Carter rebound that got called for a foul in the win over Denver last night. The Magic, more impressively, do not turn the ball over. You ready for a fun stat? The Orlando Magic's turnover rate in clutch situations this year is the second best in the league at 5.9%. Like I said, they are far from perfect. In fact, Orlando, while they are strong offensively in clutch situations at 115.7 offensive rating, they are shooting just a 43.6% effective field goal percentage, or 43.5% effective field goal percentage. That is 23rd in the league. They are missing their fair shots, but they're rebounding a lot. They're getting a lot of second chance points. Now, who is delivering in the clutch for the Magic so far this season? The easy answer is it's Desmond Bane. It's always Desmond Bane. He has the big moments. He has the big shots in those clutch situations, but it's not entirely Desmond Bane. Desmond Bane is second on the team with 2.9 points per game in clutch situations. He is shooting just 32.4% and 23.1% from three in clutch situations. So it's not him. He's getting the hero shots. He's making the hero plays, but it's not really him. It's Franz Wagner, who leads the team with 3 points per game in clutch situations, shooting 40% and shooting 30% from three. It's really the other guys. Wendell Carter is shooting 61.5% in clutch situations. Jalen Suggs is shooting 53.8% in clutch situations. Anthony Black is shooting 53.3%. And while these are all in very, 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 very small sample sizes, I can get you totals here in a minute if you let me stall to change the stat page. Desmond Bane has 43 points. Wendell Carter has 30. Anthony Black has 20. Franz Wagner has 36. Paolo Banchero is 7 for 27 from the floor in clutch situations. Desmond Bane is 12 for 37, 3 for 13 from three. One of those is the three against Portland, obviously. Franz Wagner is 10 for 25. Anthony Black's 8 for 15. Jalen Suggs is 7 for 13. And then we're starting to get into territory where like guys aren't taking a lot of shots. Tristan Silva's 2 for 4 in clutch situations, for example. This is why I don't like talking about clutch stats. We're just dealing with very, very small samples. But at the end of the day, like the Magic are winning despite their best players not scoring super efficiently, even though the team is. And obviously free throws have a lot to do with that because the Magic are playing from ahead a lot. Desmond Bane is 16 for 16 from the foul line in clutch situations. Franz Wagner is 13 for 15. Wendell Carter's 13 for 16. Paolo Banchero's 8 for 13. He's obviously missed some clutch free throws. Anthony Black's 3 for 7. He's missed some clutch free throws, including one on Saturday against Denver. The Magic just get to the line a lot. And so again, we're kind of talking today about identity and about who this Magic team is. And clutch situations, while the Magic's offense is scoring, they're not scoring because they're making shots. They're scoring because they get to the line. And that's what Desmond Bane did, obviously, at the end of the game on Saturday. Whether he got there or not, I haven't checked the last 2-minute report. I'm going to do that real fast because I forgot that was a close game and that deserved the last 2-minute report. That's what Desmond Bane did to win the game on Saturday. And the Magic know who they are. They play from ahead. They're really tough to beat. They're really tough to get past. They're really tough to score against. I mean, Anthony Black, I just checking the last 2-minute report. Anthony Black should have been called for a foul on Jamal Murray at the end of the game. He knocked the ball away, should have been a foul. That's what the league says. Nuggets didn't have a challenge. You can't challenge that one anyway. They didn't call it. You get away with, this is another reason why I don't like close games. The refs decide a lot of things. But the Magic are winning these games. There is a confidence in these games. And that means something still. Let's reset then. Let's reset the schedule. We'll look ahead to this week as your Orlando Magic take another 3-game road trip. Can the Magic win again on the road? We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. The Orlando Magic are back on the road this week. It feels like they've been on the road forever. I think David Steele made a joke that Friday was the first time that he had been on the air in 2 weeks because of the NBA Cup game, the Heat game being on Amazon Prime, because of the Magic being on the West Coast, which Dante Marcatelli does a lot of the road games, especially at the stage of the season. It was a long time since we heard David Steele. And if it feels like the Magic have been on the road for a long time, you are not wrong. Since the Miami Heat game, and that ended a run of coming off the Thanksgiving road trip, that ended a run of four games of 5 at the Kia Center. The Magic have been on the road for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for 5 of their last 7 games, and it will be 8 of their last 10 games after this road trip, and 10 of their last 13 games heading into January 7th. Orlando this week plays the Toronto Raptors, a true 6-pointer. The Magic are a half game back of the Raptors for 4th in the East. It's too early to say it's a big game for standings purposes, but tiebreakers are going to matter. I believe the Magic play the Raptors only 3 times this year. The Magic play the Raptors. I'm going to check that real fast. Sorry. The Magic play the Raptors only 3 times this season. So every one of those games are going to matter if the Raptors are going to hang around like they've been hanging around. This is a big game. Then the Magic head to Indiana for a New Year's Eve matinee, 3 o'clock tip-off on Wednesday. We'll have coverage of that game a little bit before midnight. I'm at the Citrus Bowl watching that game. And then they'll close this road trip Friday in Chicago. Another tough game against the Bulls, team that's given the Magic some trouble this year. And is playing better now, is playing a little bit better right now. Then they come home Sunday to play the Indiana Pacers. And then they're back on the road for a back-to-back with the Washington Wizards and Brooklyn Nets. And then finally, they get a couple home games. And by a couple home games, I mean they get a weekend of home games. They play Philadelphia and New Orleans at home. Then they are flying to Berlin. Yes, the Berlin trip is right around the corner. We're very, very close to the Berlin trip. They go to Berlin to play Memphis twice, and then they come home. They get 2 games, another weekend at home playing Charlotte and Cleveland, and then they're back into the meat grinder of the NBA season. I will note that after this 3-game road trip this week, I think this is really important. After this upcoming 3-game road trip, the Magic take only one more road trip of longer than 3 games. And that is the 4-game West Coast trip right after the All-Star break. So again, the Magic have this weird thing where they come out of a little break with a long West Coast trip. But after that, you're just getting a lot of 2-game trips. You got a San Antonio, Oklahoma, you got the Cleveland, Miami trip at the end of January. You got a San Antonio, Oklahoma City trip to start February. You got a Minnesota, Milwaukee trip in March. You got a Miami, Atlanta trip in March. And then you're pretty much done with road trips. Dallas, New Orleans in April, Chicago, Boston in April. So if it feels like the Magic have been on the road a lot, you are right. The Magic have been on the road a lot lately. And they're going to get that back on the back end. It's, again, another reason why I think there should be a lot of optimism that the Magic are going to end up as the 3 seed, and they're going to end up kind of zooming up the standings. We've highlighted this part of the schedule. This part of the schedule until and through the Europe trip, because there's a lot of teams that are under 500. Now, obviously, Orlando's lost to a few of them. They lost to Golden State, who is now, I believe, back over 500 or at 500. So not a crazy loss. I don't think anyone's losing sleep over losing to Golden State. They lost to Charlotte. That was not a good loss record-wise. They'll play Indiana, Chicago, Indiana, Washington, Brooklyn. Like after this Toronto game, their next 5 games are against teams with losing records. They'll play New Orleans, who is playing better, but still has a losing record. They'll play Memphis, who's flirting with 500. They got Charlotte again. And so all that stuff where we talk about, the Magic have played a really tough schedule. They played a lot of road games. It's starting to come back around. But the bottom line is that this week, the Magic have to figure out how to win on the road. And that is something that the Magic have kind of struggled with. Now, Orlando is playing a lot of road games right now, but they're near the bottom of the league. They played a lot of home games so far, but they are 7-8 on the road. They do have a positive net rating. They're plus 0.8 on the road, but a 160.3 offensive rating. It's obviously down from where they're at for most of the season, and a 115.6 defensive rating. Their defense is significantly worse. In fact, a 115.6 defensive rating is 14th in the league among teams' road games. Their offensive rating, 160.3, is actually 10th. So while the Magic are about 500, and that's probably where they should be, they're not playing terribly on the road. Now, I would say, my worry about this road trip is that they've been on the road so much and they're coming off a back-to-back. It'd be one thing if they had a day, a weekend, a full weekend, a Friday, Sunday game, and then they're on the road for a Tuesday game. If they had a full weekend, I'd feel a little bit better. But this week's schedule, it's tough. I mean, the road trips are manageable. Toronto to Indiana to Chicago is not crazy travel. There's no schedule losses in there. The matinee could be weird. Afternoon games always get a little weird. These are all manageable and winnable games. Honestly, would not shock me if the Magic go 3-0. I think 2-1 is a fair goal for this team. But they've been on the road a lot. Just plain and simple. They have been on the road a lot. And those miles do add up. And honestly, that first game after a long West Coast trip is always tough. So maybe we should have expected a little sluggishness against Charlotte. And they got to play with the energy they played with Saturday against Denver to win all these games. And finding that energy is always the trick for the team, especially if Jalen's going to continue to miss some time. And again, there's no indication Jalen's coming back relatively soon. But for the Magic to be successful right now, they've got to find themselves on the road. And it's been a lot. It's a lot. I miss seeing them at the Kia Center. I miss going to games. I miss it too. But this is where your metal's tested. This is where your identity's tested. This is where you really find out who you are. And these are manageable games. These are winnable games. These are games we expect the Magic to win. I'm going to look at, if you look at the Raptors on a back-to-back, they were at home against the Warriors on Sunday afternoon. Great big overtime win for them. Huge game from Scotty Barnes. The Raptors are 2-point underdogs on FanDuel. The Magic are favored to win all three of these games. The Magic will be favored to win all three of these games. And so being on the road is about taking care of your business. Yes, it's going to be a little harder. You got to dig a little deeper. You got to find yourself a little bit more. And the Magic did that at times on the West Coast trip. They didn't do it at other times. That's what they've got to do right now. And they've got to do it because they're injured. They're hurt. They're down several key players still. But if the Magic are going to be successful, if they're going to kind of pull out of this, if they're going to get where they want to go, this is a big week. Because it's manageable, it's winnable, and you always prove a lot more on the road than you do at home. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at @PhilipR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the ways you download podcasts to your podcast-enabled device. You can find us on YouTube as well. Just search for Locked On Magic. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. We want to thank you for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. Make it a bigger part of your day and get that last-minute holiday gift you so want with the Everydayer Club. Ad-free episodes of the show, exclusive Discord server access, and more. Subscriptions can be gifted through LockedOnMagic.supercast.com. That's LockedOnMagic.supercast.com. For those of you on video, we are sending you to the first ever 24/7 national NBA YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen NBA Game Night on Locked On NBA. We truly appreciate you all for being part of our community, being part of the show. We'll be back tomorrow to chat about the Magic's game against the Toronto Raptors. But until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.